What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, August 3rd, 2018. I don't even have time for my traditional intro. I'm just going to jump right into the charts. We're going to talk about this crucial area that Bitcoin is in. I know it's Friday. You're probably busy. You have places to be. So let's talk about it. This video is going to be very heavily speaking about the Fibonacci, that 618 to 786 channel that we've been doing a lot more talking about as of recently, especially on the daily charts. So for a quick glance at what I did here, I went back the last few years and I took some data points, not all of them. I briefly went through and I just highlighted these areas, these key pullbacks to this channel, the 618 to 786, because it happens all the time. You can, if you can ignore the Fibonacci lines, you just see these pullbacks over and over again. That 618 to 786 channel, extremely key, and I just moved one of those. So extremely key in terms of Bitcoin price movement, Bitcoin patterns. And look, I even have it going back into that bear market from a few years ago. So before we jump into kind of looking at some of those areas, what I want to do is just paint some context on why I'm even doing that. So let's zoom in on where we are right now in terms of Bitcoin, in terms of this pullback that we're in the midst of. The question is, are we going to see support or not? So here are some things to look out for. So a quick example of this 618 to 786 we can use is just this simple over the course of a couple weeks here, a few weeks, this simple low, right there, to this high of resistance and then the pullback that we had. This is the scenario that happens time and time again in Bitcoin. And more often than not, the channel that we find support in is right here at the 618 to 786. You can pull up TradingView on your charts. You can mess around with this. You can go back and find these areas, these pullbacks, and they happen time and time again. That isn't to say it always happens. When we get a downward move, a downward pressure move, these get broken. So, you see a run up and then we just break that 786 and we tank down. That happens. But a lot of times, very often, you see a bounce in this channel, 618 to 786. So with that being said, where are we today? Well, you can see right now we have another pullback, right? So we want to take this previous low on the Fib retracement right here, and we want to take it to that swing high right there, and we want to locate that 786 to 618 channel. So on this chart right now, that would be right around $7,000 down to around $6,600. So there's the channel right there. That's a 618 to 786 channel on the pullback. So we have a little bit of ways to go before we test that area. And you'll see right in that channel also is this previous swing high that we had. So there could be some nice support in that area for a bounce. We don't necessarily have to just go all the way down and break previous lows. We can get a nice heavy bounce off of this channel. So that's something to look out for. And one thing I want to say before we even talk about that happening is you'll notice this, so far as of right now, this daily candle right now, this wick touching down at that 50 EMA on the daily. That daily 50 EMA is looking like nice support right now. So we might possibly not even test these areas of 7,000. We might start getting a bounce up, and we're going to actually play that into the weekly chart at the end of this video in a few minutes here. But before we really get into that, I wanted to paint that picture of that channel down here, the 786 to the 618, key for support. Keep an eye on that area because we might get a bounce off of that area if we test those waters. So now just kind of zooming out, right, and going all the way back, and you see I did this 618, 786 channel. There's a channel there, there's a channel there, there's one here, one here, and I'm going to go all the way back to this bear market because there's a couple areas I just want to look at real quick. So, and this is always so hard to navigate through. Okay, so the reason I'm bringing this up is because you see these pullbacks even in this downward trend at the end and into the end of the bear market that we had, right? So here's that very low that Bitcoin saw back in January 2015. Obviously, there was another one in August 2015, but we're going to focus our attention on the way down into that area, right? So you can see similar areas of where we are now in terms of we've had this continued downtrend in Bitcoin, and we're still getting these weird, crazy bounces with some pretty crazy gains. So right now you see this first purple Fibonacci that I have here. That's basically this first lower low before this really low in January. This first lower low right here up to that bounce, right? And it had a pullback. So you see this green area is that pullback area, and that's the 618 to 786. And this is on the way down, Bitcoin on its way down. I'm gonna get rid of that to clean this up a little bit. And then I have another channel in orange. So after that bounce, right, we had that pullback to the 618, 786, and now we have this new area that we bounce off of for a new swing high. And here's a new Fibonacci, a new swing high, and we have, let's see what the gains there are. So from that low up to that area where we tested that 200 EMA on the daily, 50% gains, right? And then we bounce all the way back down to test the 618, 786 channel, and it did test it, bounced off of that for new gains. And just because we bounced off that channel doesn't mean we're like gonna bounce to the moon. It just means it's a temporary bounce. So in this case, we had a bounce from that very low, right below the 786, to new highs of 14, 15% gains, and we consolidated sideways, and then we saw new lows. So and then lastly, at this very low, you can see the channel from this very low, right, like $167 or so, up to, let's see, up to this high, right, of 315. We wicked up there on the daily, and then back down to the 618 to 786. So to get an idea of what that looked like in terms of price movement, we're talking 100% gains in like the course of a couple weeks, right? And then after that 100% gain, we had pull back down of 35% or so to the 786, 618 channel for a bounce back up to some ridiculous gains again. So that channel is extremely important if you want to really watch for support for Bitcoin right now. Even though we're not going up and we've kind of, been going down right now, it's extremely a key area to look out for. So with all of that being said, I want to point out something on first, some oscillators, right? So on the Bitcoin daily stock RSI, you can see we're very oversold. We're very oversold in this area. And one thing that is good to see is, we've kind of slowed down that downward pressure, that downward momentum of selling. And you can really see it. It's illustrated really nicely on this red daily candle that we're in the middle of right now. So that's number one, a good sign. And just because we have this channel of 618 to 786 on the screen doesn't mean we'll test it, especially being we're right now testing this daily 50 EMA, which is a very important area of support to see if it holds first. So we pointed out stock RSI oversold, RSI looking pretty healthy. Obviously, we consolidated back down in terms of momentum. So we have plenty of room to go back up here in terms of a bounce from this area. Now, with all of that being said, nobody knows what's going to happen next. But I want to point out something to really watch out for leading into Sunday. So right now it's Friday. We have a couple days to see if we can get just a nice bounce up, because something to be aware of, to be cautious of, and I have it here, is I wrote beware of this tweezer top. And I don't talk about this a lot, but when they form, they're pretty obvious, especially if you're looking at the weekly chart. A tweezer top is really a reversal pattern, whether it's from a bottom or from a top. So a reversal from a top would be a bearish reversal, a tweezer top, where you have one really, strong looking green candle, right? Followed by a strong looking red candle. That's a reversal indicator that says, the bears have really stepped in at this top and we're most likely going to be going down. From a perspective of what a tweezer pattern would look like, or a tweezer reversal would look like on a bullish reversal, would be a strong red candle followed by a strong green candle. That would be a sign that the bulls have stepped in and we're going up. So right now you can see, obviously, we've had every time before we went down massively, right? We've had a bearish tweezer pattern on the weekly. So strong green, strong red, down, right? Strong green, strong red, down. So right now what you see happening is we have a strong green, and as of right now on the weekly, we have a strong red. So we really need Bitcoin to make kind of a nice little bullish comeback, at least, even up to like $8,000 to get this strong looking red candle out of the way, and maybe have it look more like a red hammer candle, something like this, right, with a strong wick. So will that happen? Sorry for my squeaky chair. It's time for a new chair. Will that happen? I don't know. We have a couple days to see, but that's another thing to look out for as we possibly bounce off this daily 50 EMA, and hopefully we don't even test that 618 to 786 channel. That's where I am right now in terms of what I'm looking for on the daily as well as weekly charts. What's good is we have a little bit over 2 days before that weekly candle closes, Sunday at midnight, so time will tell. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really appreciate you coming by. Really appreciate you spending some time with me. Hope you're making out pretty good with the markets, even though we're down a little bit. I know many people are very optimistic, so we will see what happens. I will see you in the next video, and God bless.